Jack's got the fervor.
Yeah.
He does.
So he's like,
You can see it.
Look, haha, I'm riding.
Cool
you
new
bastards
bike.
are working.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So,
Just-
you know, I just ghost the bastard. Fuck you.
I know.
Yeah. Is it up?
Oh, yeah. I was just
That's
clicking on
what
it.
she said. Before we begin, the summer of Gooder continues. Just a few more weeks, you guys. Make sure to grab your discount code of Packfiller15 before they are gone. Great fitting, polarized lenses, non-slip frames. And I don't know, Paul, if you noticed, they have an all black now of the big
Gotta get it.
of the big dogs.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. I ordered a pair.
I'm going to look. I didn't even know that either.
All black, no pink on the
Yeah.
anything on it.
Good.
All dialed in. And I ordered that and another pair of the are they the VRGs, Jackson?
Yes.
They have a pair of all black ones of those too. And I was just like, fuck, those are mine.
Mm-hmm.
Mine. And I used my personal code of Packfiller15. I did. I got 15% off. And it was awesome. Use the link, packfiller.com. Be sure to include that code, Packfiller15. We've had some confusion about entering the code, and you couldn't find a place to enter the code. Personally, it was staring me in the face, and I entered
At
the code.
checkout or before?
At
Right
checkout.
at checkout.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Boom. Bing, bang, boom.
The new ones are called Foot Wedgers Anonymous, and they're all black with a rose lens,
Yeah.
like that color.
Yeah. I'm very happy. So there we go. Thanks, Gooder. Also, let's throw some thanks to the very one Scratch Labs, the home for the best tasting, easy on the gut fuel for your ride. Big thanks to Scratch Labs. Make sure you are staying on top of your hydration game, everybody. And lastly, let's throw some thanks to Untapped Maple. I haven't mentioned them in a while, and I realized I was like, I get these moments in the middle of the night. Is it an age thing where you wake up and go, and I don't know why. Last night I was like, fuck, I haven't said Untapped Maple in a while. So I'm going to say Untapped Maple. Great tasting energy source using the purest Vermont maple syrup, gel, waffles, and drink mixes to get you through. Personally, the gels are the easiest way, in my opinion, to grab 100 calories on the go. Quick going down, a little shot of water behind it, smooth flavor, no bad aftertaste. Get to packfiller.com, click the link, and find out what Ted King himself discovered, other than the fact that he's fertile and he has 2 babies.
Did you interview that guy?
I did.
Oh.
And his wife, Laura.
Oh,
yeah. Both on the archives. Can I hit 2 sound effects at once? I can.
Oh, wow.
You're talented.
It's almost like I planned that. Am I sweating? Am I the only one sweating?
No.
71 in here now. That thanks to my new weather station, courtesy of my daddy.
I've got goosebumps.
You have goosebumps,
Yeah, I'm
so you're cold. Okay. Oh, I'm fine then. We are live. This is Life on Two Wheels. This is the Packfiller live from the Rib Break Bar. Okay, apparently my spell check changed it to Rib Break Bar. That has a whole Adam and Eve shit going on. And the one and only Spokane, Washington. If you're with us live, don't hesitate to play along either on YouTube through the chat. I think Jax is monitoring the YouTube. Or through our social media channels. There we go. Well, they're saying cross is coming more frequently. I'm seeing a shit ton of it. Pumpkin spice is on the horizon. And the last of the Grand Tours is underway. Summer is coming to a close, but I'm not willing to let it go yet. Am I the only one?
No.
Okay, good. Because it's like fucking 90 today. I mean, give me a break. Welcome to the Packfiller. I'm Pat Bolger, your host. With me are the usual suspects of opinions, controversies, and expertise. Let's get to know them, shall we? Yes, we shall. Gentlemen, please respond to your introduction with an answer to tonight's question. Pancakes or waffles? By the way, it's International Waffle Day. Pancakes or waffles? Why? Your choice, and how should they be served? How should they be served? First of all, he's the only guy in the room who owns a TT bike. Mr. Paul Main. How are you, man?
I'm feel.
You feel?
I am feel. That's
Feel? Fine?
Alexander Usyk, the heavyweight champion.
Oh?
That's his little trade thing. Oh. He doesn't speak English very well. He's from Ukraine.
It's like I am Groot.
People are saying, how do you feel right before the fight? And he says, I am feel. I'm very feel.
Feel?
And he won this Saturday, and it was... He for the Ukraine. He purchased.
No shit.
I know I'm going off.
No,
he purchased.
was he the guy who? Oh, okay, no, keep going. I mean,
Well,
I'm
he
gonna interrupt.
with the fight. The British fighter is Anthony Joshua, and he's like an Adonis 6'6" gorilla. Boom, you know.
What kind of is this MMA? Is this?
No, this
boxing?
is boxing.
Okay,
yeah.
I-
I am
I
a
just
boxing person.
You
yeah.
are?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, it's fencing. It's basically fencing with fists. So, I mean, there's a lot of strategy. It's like, you know, I know a lot of people think they're just. My wife says, "I can't believe you watch this. There's just grown men beating each other senseless." And I said, "Not necessarily."
So is bike racing.
Yeah. Yeah, we just dump drugs in ourselves instead. So, but anyway, he you know, Usyk was in the war. He had already claimed he beat AJ for the title, and AJ put in for a rematch, and he had to answer. He wasn't going to do it. He's going to give up his belt. And the citizens of Ukraine, all the military people, like, no, do it for Ukraine.
Really?
Comes back. He trains. He had actually lost weight. He had to gain weight and get back into the ring. Wins again. But in order, his clause was in order to do the fight, I think this is cool, he purchased because there's a pay-per-view, purchased the rights for all of Ukraine to watch it for free.
Really?
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So, anyway, I am feel. I'm very
That's a
feel.
really interesting segue.
The guy
But
is-
I'm kind of glad we went down that path.
Yeah, he's a good guy,
No,
and he did it for the country. His country.
I feel like an asshole to ask you waffles or pancakes.
No.
No.
Well, it's. What do you think? I want to say,
You gotta go full Belgian. You're going
yeah,
waffles, right?
Yeah.
And how should they be served?
As they say in Ghent, at least,
Yeah.
nature, which means natural. It's just plain.
Really, not even a dusting of powdered sugar or anything.
Oh,
like
no.
that?
See,
you
that
see-
would
you
that would
see that a
be
lot.
that would be the Brussels style, or it's kind of a cake style.
Okay,
So they have different types of waffles there too. As far as I know, there's maybe more.
I've
But
never
the other
been
ones, like
there,
the street
so
food
I don't
ones, are
know.
really good,
Mhm.
and they're
Really?
and it's not a batter there. It is actually a dough. It has
Now
yeast.
I've also seen a waffle served with herring on top, which
think I
genuinely
saw
looks
that. I've seen
disgusting. I think I saw it on an Anthony Bourdain or something
Mhm.
like that,
in Belgium.
like from a street vendor.
Yeah, maybe there's all kinds. You can get
Revolting.
it with Nutella. You can get it with
Yeah.
whatever.
So you're just plain. You're natural.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, natural.
They call it nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Second of all, he's the only guy in the room who has electronic shifting. Mr. Jackson
yeah,
Bolger, you are. I mean, yeah. How are you?
Yeah,
man?
I'm
and
good.
disc brakes.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, because Jack's not with us,
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
the only one with disc brakes, too. On your
Uh,
road bike.
Yeah. Let's see. Waffles or pancakes? I think pancakes sometimes can be a little too much, you know?
Really?
Yeah. I think what for breakfast, I feel like for me at least, sometimes a heavy breakfast can lead to like a lot of like stomach.
Gut bomb.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know. So I do like waffles, and I mean I kind of like all of them, like the untapped, the Stroop waffles I really like.
Oh, those waffles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But-
was talking like breakfast waffles.
I was about to say, but
yeah.
but I think the best way for me, I like them served, is I really like a strawberry sauce with like sliced strawberries in them, and then like some whipped cream. I really like those.
The kid in you still comes out.
Yeah.
It's like, I want the big dessert.
But
With sprinkles.
Yeah.
oh yeah, there's a place in Portland called the Waffle Window, and they
I just
Yeah.
spilled on myself.
You got a
But
drinking
anyway,
problem.
I do.
yeah. But they do really good stuff there.
They
and that's
do.
where that's the one place in Portland, restaurant wise, I think I miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there once with you, and it was really.
What kind of
it's so
waffles
good.
are they? They're just like a
Just-
batter type.
It's I'm assuming it's a batter
I
style.
wouldn't think so. Yeah.
They call them the Belgian
Looks like an
style.
American.
It's thick. Yeah. I mean, it's big, but it's not
Yeah.
like yeah.
But you can get whatever you want on it. You can
Mhm.
get savory, you can
Yeah.
get sweet, which I like the option of both. so.
Yeah. It's good. I was going to say this for Jack because he's not here, but he is not here. So I will say Jack's introduction so he can text us live tomorrow when he listens to the show. He's the only guy in the room who's been known to actually train in a skin suit, Mr. Jack Broadhead. Have you guys ever? I mean, other than training for a TT,
Yeah,
Has anybody
that's the
ever
only time
trained
I've
in a
ever
skin suit?
used it was last Sundays.
Yeah, or a crit, right?
Crit. Mhm.
I wore mine for the crit. That was it.
Yeah, I think I've worn mine when I've been out of my shorts are dirty and it's the winter, so I'll wear it as like a base layer. But I would never. I can't train. I'm too self-conscious. So
Oh my.
people looking at my midriff.
Midriff.
I look ugly. So to Jack trained in a skin suit the other day. So good on you, Jack. And I bet he's a waffle guy too. You think?
I don't know. Yeah, probably.
Jack might
Because
be pancakes,
usually that
so.
lends itself to putting different toppings on the
Yeah,
pancakes.
yeah. Me, I'm the only guy in the room who pre-funks the show with a shot of bourbon. I'm Pat Bolger. I do.
Do you
My
just pound it back?
No, I sip. Slowly sip. I do the big fat ice cube and and stuff like that, and just sip it and talk to my wife before I come down. And yeah, I prefer waffles. I'm not gonna lie, I prefer waffles. And this is funny. We all prefer waffles, but we live in a pancake culture. Yep. But they are a bit more labor intensive because I'm the one who cooks. So when I'm lazy, I'll make flat out pancakes. But and I'm too lazy. I do make the instant. But you put an egg in it and yada yada yada.
Like a Bisquick.
Yeah.
Type.
Crusties, rusty cracks, as my uncle used to call them, rusty cracks. And if I had a little bit of butter and pure, really good maple syrup, that's how I. But you know what? I have, and this is sponsor mention. I have been known to sometimes put the raspberry untapped gel on it. It's fucking good. It's really good. And extra, calories for the ride.
Yeah.
People wonder why I have a weight problem. Let's get straight to the point, you guys. Who's been riding? Jackson, I know your answer, but you can go ahead and answer anyway.
Yeah, I did today.
You did?
Yeah. Climbed in the pure heat. That sucked, but other than that, it was good to go out.
How far'd you go?
Like 24. I did a loop pretty close to my own abode.
Sure.
Yeah.
Valley Chapel kind of a thing. Yeah.
Nothing really that crazy, but I was climbing halfway up and then I was like, wow, it's really hot just, sitting here in the dead wind of this climb. And so I was going pretty hard. And then after a while I said, no one's around me. I'll just
turn around.
I'll just take it easy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There was no, when it's super hot, there's no point to just really go hard on it. So just kind of took it easy until I got to the top and let my heart rate go down because I'm not wanting to have to stop on the side of the road.
And then was that the first ride of the week? Yeah, me too. We took a week off. Basically, I took a week off. I rode last Monday or Tuesday, probably Tuesday, and that's been it. And then I rode yesterday. I got out and because it was kind of hazy and cloudy and kind of rainy in the morning, I was like, oh, it's going to be cool. I'm going to go out for a ride. Yay. And then by the time I was midway through my ride, it was in the 90s already. So, but it was nice to get out and, pedal around and do something. But I would consider the two of us kind of took a week off.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I feel like everybody's kind of getting in the mindset of starting to take time off anyways.
Yeah. Except Mr. Paul Maine, who's got a race this weekend. How's your ride week been?
I can't even remember. It's all been blurred, but obviously I've been getting about 4 rides a week, which has been good. I mean, that's less than normal in the good old days. But, and I mentioned that I'm heavier than I have been, and in the last 15 years in other podcasts. So I lost 5 pounds in the last 2 weeks.
Shit, dude. Nice.
Well, and I might explain. Sunday, I did just a dry run on my little course that I created on up by my house. And I took off, and the winds, it's coolie height.
Were you in the
TT,
skin suit? Were you in the skin suit?
Disc,
Felt bad.
Oh yeah,
Felt
even
dirty.
Arrow helmet.
Felt dirty.
I had to drive there because I didn't want anybody to catch. And I parked at the Seventh Day Adventist little church where we get water all the time.
Oh, up there.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I parked in the corner so that you couldn't see me from the road. Suited up. I'm hideous. Don't look. So then I made sure there was no traffic and hopped on and stayed as low as I could. And I wore glasses for the first time
Wow.
because I was incognito. I didn't want anybody seeing me.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I'm riding. I'm like, wow, I really don't feel all that good. But that's just, that's just the way it goes. This is Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm thinking, just dump everything. Doesn't matter. This is a dry run. It wasn't getting any better, and it wasn't getting any better. And I got my head down and just pissed off because I'm feeling like shit on the turnaround. So I'm 12 and a half miles into it, and I'm thinking, oh, fuck! I just went an extra like 600 meters past my turnaround point. So I turned around and came back the other way, and I was just like all the way where I should be slamming it, like 30 plus miles an hour on that course. I could barely turn the cranks. The wind was coming directly from, it would be the south, so it wasn't really, we usually get a southwest wind, and that's why it's really fast and slight downhill. I was laboring, and I got home. I was smashed after 25 miles.
What?
And I thought, this is bad. This is very, very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am not field.
So,
Yeah. And of course, my dauber's down. It's like, fuck. Now there's 7 guys in our group. We're the largest group, my age group.
Is it?
Or is the largest category besides Cat 5, which are free. So we're the idiots that paid. There's 7. It might be more now, and I'm thinking, if I get 7th, I'll be so bummed.
Do you have any reasoning as to why? I mean, was it
it could be-
positioning? Was it just?
Well, like I said, loss of weight. I like all of a sudden just went too much, too fast, too hard.
Yeah.
Instead of gradually working into it, it's like, oh God, I got to do this, like cramming for a test. I don't know. Maybe a little bit diet wise. I know I didn't drink that much and water and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I always drink plenty of this, but
well,
beer. And
that's good hydration.
But I thought it could have been. I didn't feel dehydrated, but it was. I mean, I'm actually still kind of bummed. It's been 2 days. I'm just shattered because it was nasty. So
now, how many times have you been on the TT bike this year?
this year, 3.
Yeah.
3 times.
Do you equate maybe it's because of that the position offset or something?
No,
like
because
that?
even the first time was a dry run, and I was with Jack.
Yeah.
And the position was way off. I knew it was. I just wanted a baseline. And, I did almost as fast with 32 spoke wheels
Sure.
and standard just floppy jersey and everything, and not even kitted out.
It's just a bad day.
It was bad. Yeah,
Shit
but
day.
but you know how that's the demons are in your head now.
Yeah.
So
No,
but-
I know
yeah.
about the demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but there's always next year. And
No,
the thing
don't.
is, yeah,
No.
it is. That's my mantra.
I always think that you need one bad day before to get that out of your system.
That's because you're a theater major.
Well, no,
Bad dress equals good show.
I think exactly. And I also think about last year. I did really bad in the Ellensburg. Couldn't even finish it.
That's true.
Then finished BWR. I think that's how it always is. I think you got to
We'll
have a
find
bad
out.
day and
We'll
then
see.
you get a good day.
We'll see if your theory works, because it's. I mean, I'll lay down the line to the point where I'll
Yeah.
puke. But I mean, if you just don't have it, some days you're just like I was just baffled. But you have those days. I'm just having that year.
I can't believe. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I almost wish you had power on the bike so you could see what kind of.
Yeah, and that would
numbers.
be interesting, just because the wind was unique on that.
Yeah.
And I have, when I first made the course out and I created the course, I was on my road bike, and I was a mile an hour slower on a regular road bike than I was with all kitted out, and so obviously there's something wrong.
Something was, yeah.
Well, and I spun the wheels.
Check your brakes.
and
yeah.
I-
Okay.
Spun
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cranks. You take the chain off, and you're like, well, no, what's going on?
Wow.
So it was just, I think, a combination of stuff. But it's behind me, and we'll find out Sunday.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you, and do you know the course itself at all?
Yeah,
I know you do your recon.
Yes.
So.
But I plan on driving it before. I haven't determined. I got to get with Sam, see if I have a friend who moved from Spokane that lives in Wenatchee, and if I can find a piece of the floor,
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, so you're going to go over the night before.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be.
Because start times are around 8 o'clock, which is about a 3-hour
Oh.
drive from Spokane. So
Oh, wow.
that's
Okay.
right. I usually get up at 5 in the morning anyway. So
Hooah. Jackson, do you have any events or anything on the horizon, or are we gonna just? Because I'm saying this because I don't have any, and are we just gonna kind of spend the rest of the summer and the fall just kind of enjoying each other's company and going for bike rides? What I mean.
Yeah, anymore. I'm starting to think about next year's RC3.
Oh yeah. Are you
Already,
really?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I just starting to think about things I need to, or things I want to work on next year, or maybe I want things to stay the same, just stuff like that. I think next year, I am getting married next year, but that's pretty early summer.
Yeah.
So there's, a free possibility to look for other stuff around the state, around the region. So just maybe I'll go to Vancouver next year and see if I can do a state championship crit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of in the next year for now, and I think that's okay. Just seasons are turning, and I'm fine with our weekend rides that we all don't say are competitive, but then we all race each other up the climbs
Exactly.
and everything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Oh, really? We do that? Huh?
Yeah, I know.
I usually make a commitment to. I usually try to say 20 start lines every year, and because of the lack of racing, I did the math. I'm at 14, and I'm not gonna get 6 more this year. There's not.
You could do Zwift races.
Yeah, those don't count.
Good for you. Good for you.
Virtual start lines don't count for me. I mean, I'm talking about a physical, a financial kind of a commitment. Go to the event, be a part of the event, and compete with real people. So I don't see myself getting 6 more races in. There is a Wednesday night cyclocross series coming up here that our city's doing.
Well, the cross is coming.
Yeah. Oh. But they are doing it in September and October, I think. Wednesday night.
Who's doing it this year?
It's some guys, some friends of ours, Christian Drayson and the Bike Hub guys.
Oh, good.
And Josh Tofsrud, who Josh has been on a live show a while ago, and Chris has been on the show several times. Good local support for the racing community, and they're putting together a Wednesday night kind of in the vein of the mountain bike series, but it's going to be cross, and they're going to do every Wednesday. I'll get to cross, but other than that, I don't really have anything, and it kind of bumps me out, and so I just
What about CDA Fondo? Have you guys still kind of battled that around?
We kind of brought it up on our long drive this week, but we never came to a conclusion.
It's a tough one because it's over. Isn't it 116?
The full Fondo.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the
you
full
can do the
Fondo.
90.
Yeah. I think committing myself to another, racing almost 100 miles.
Yeah.
It's something I'd have to more consider, because we did that earlier in the summer and that hurt. But it's not a hard no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You?
I'm kind of with you guys.
If
I did, I feel like was 119 miles, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a loop, so you can turn off at 90, and the loop to get the 120, you go up this climb, which really does not, bode well for me. So
you're like, fuck.
I don't know.
I want to turn.
We could remake our chafe, but we could be the top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shit. I'm sure there's some ringers who show up down there. But so okay.
But it's like $100 and some dollars, 150, 60 bucks.
Yeah.
It's like,
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Might have just punched my
I
ticket.
I think that's what it is. I'm not sure. I remember looking at it, it's like, oh man, that's a stage race.
Yeah.
But
for
I don't want to throw any shade on him because I could be totally wrong, but I remember just kind of set back like, oh, that kind of made
Ouch.
more of a
Yeah.
imprint. Do you really want to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because last year we all signed up for it and we didn't go because it was
super heavy.
raining like a motherfucker
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
day. So yeah. All right. Well, hey, I had some other questions, but in the sense of time, let's get to the news, shall we? We got some big headlines to talk about. News is brought to us by our friends at Athletic Brewing. You know by now, best beer alternatives. I just came up with that term. Beer alternatives. Get great variety, great taste, and low alcohol to keep you down. To slow.
Wow.
Well,
I'm not drinking now. Get to Packfiller, click the link, grab some fine Athletic Brewing offerings today. Hey, you guys, in case you didn't know, Primos is Primos in prime form. Any shreds of doubt about his form on his objectives of the Vuelta a España this year were swept aside in less than a kilometer today as the Jumbo-Visma rider powered to the front of the pack and into the lead on the tough uphill finish on stage 4. Question marks over his form and whether he could go for a fourth straight title were bound to be present after a month away from racing and his enforced abandonment of the Tour de France, which was his team's call, not his call, which I find very interesting. Back injuries is what kind of fucked him up, not to mention a hay bale.
Yeah.
No, you know.
At a really bad stage. So any thoughts on? I'm assuming we're all at least up to speed on highlights and things like that. Any thoughts on the decision to show his cards this early? We're only 4 stages into a 3-week tour.
I think it was an early sign that he's here to win again. Yeah. But I don't think he'll keep the jersey, and I think he is willing to let it go to other breakaway riders for a little bit. I mean, it is the 4th day?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that he'll be willing to let that go to other breakaway riders, but then when it comes to the big days, I think he'll be willing to take that back because it really showed that he's here to play and he's probably here to win again. Because I don't know, when I look at the whole sheet of names that are starting, I don't know if I see a lot, barring Jai Hindley, that can really take it to him.
Paul?
Well, I think I agree with Jackson. I think that he's going to put forth effort, on all stages that some GC threats are going to, come after him. But if a breakaway goes up, I think he's not going to have a problem letting it go, But I think Jumbo-Visma was flexing their muscles because they set up for that whole
day.
And not really. I mean, they played their cards right. They didn't go to the front and control the whole thing. They were a part of controlling. They didn't, and they already had the red jersey anyway. They had the leader in there.
Yeah.
So
have since day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and this might be one of those things where just to stamp their authority after winning the Tour is having the red jersey from start to finish in the Vuelta. But
crazy.
we don't know. Yeah. And Pepe York said one thing that the Vuelta has that no other, not the Giro or the Tour has, is you don't know what's going to happen in Vuelta. It's so unpredictable because there's people in different shapes. Some are just hit what you think are going to get, I raced the Giro and I won. They come in there and it's there's not anything in the tank, or they've recovered and done better than you think. It's a mixed bag. So
now I think I posed this question to you guys last week. Does this race just work for Roglic, or is this nothing else worked out, I'm gonna win this? I don't know why. It's just I don't want to belittle the beauty of the Vuelta because I'm starting to realize, man, this is going to be a really good race. It's been, I'm not going to lie, the first 3 days were kind of like meh. I just checked headlines and stuff like that, and caught a little bit of glimpses of here and there. But there's a stacked field in this race, and this is not something to poo-poo.
Yeah, I think that
I said poo-poo.
Yeah.
I
Yes, you
think
did.
not only is it can't be coincidental after 3 years. I think that after a while you start to realize that this race probably does really fit Roglic. I wonder if he can really perform in the heat and everything. But I also think that this steep parkour that is always characteristic of the Vuelta really fits him. And Paul, you were saying earlier that it's very much in Roglic's style that he can keep with everybody, and he just has enough to power everybody, power away from everybody. And that's what it kind of seemed like in today's finish. That it was explosive.
Yeah.
Like he can be, but he's always there at the very clinical times. So I think that, clinical. Yeah, that'd be the right word.
Yeah.
But I think that after a while, it's not just a coincidence that he's the best at this race. I think that he will probably pull on that leader's jersey at the end of the race because this race fits him. And I also think that they brought the best team. When you really look at when you look at the roster that they brought, it's like they didn't bring like a B team like they do to the Giro. They really target this one.
Should Remco Evenepoel be considered on target? Should he? I'm going to leave. This is just my little tip of the iceberg for my Remco Evenepoel questions because should he be satisfied where he is? 27 seconds back, 6th place. He was at the pointy end of the peloton, especially in the finale today. I'm gonna just throw all my Remco questions out at once. I'm gonna just diarrhea them out. Should he be satisfied? Is Remco a true contender for the final in the Vuelta? And my last one is, should we just lighten up and quit comparing Remco to other riders? We talked about this before we went live today, to an Eddie Merckx, to things like that. I've never understood the concept of this constant comparison. And yes, we did talk about this on the Cycling Legends show. I'm going to plug them too. But I'd like your intake on some of that stuff. Especially when it comes to a guy like Remco, or even, Van Aert.
Well, I think on the first question, should he be satisfied at 27 seconds back? I think he should be. I think, looking at the parcours, I think there's definitely stages where they've marked where they're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have the team to really kind of set him up like Jumbo-Visma.
Yeah.
So they have to play their cards what they have, as in, we'll find out. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. And I think that's what this is testing ground is. Okay, we're going to play it smart. Remco, you do. And it's the steep climbs that he seems to falter at.
You've just defined the Vuelta.
Yeah. But this year, exactly. I think there's only one above category. There's a lot of 1s and 2s, but really? They're like in a series though. They're not easy, and because it's or category doesn't mean, one category 1's nothing.
Yeah.
When you race and people are smashing every 1, 2, 3 category climb, and you got to chase to get back on because you got dropped, that last Cat 1's going to just, put a fork in you. So, but comparing to Merckx, that's a Belgian thing. And we talked about, like you said before the show, I mean, it seems like everybody has a baseline. You brought up, even in soccer, every nation has like, he's the next. And I even use the Beatles. People use that as the next pop, rock type of thing. Is like, this is like the next Beatles, and it's like that's just a kiss of death.
Yeah.
So I think he's extremely talented. I don't think he has bike handling skills like most of the people, and I think maybe he's catching on. But mind you, he's only been racing a bike for 5 years.
Yeah,
and to be at that level, that's I've got 31 years on that guy. in racing.
Wish I could go as fast as it. Jackson, I'm going to ask you about a different question, and I'm sorry to, unless you have something like
keep going.
Razor, Ineos with Richard Carapaz, please, at 33 seconds in seventh period. God, who's starting school here soon? Yeah, in seventh place. So thoughts on the Ineos plan, And if they're going to ride for Carapaz, the world knows Richard Carapaz is going to EF, Easy Post, this next year. I've always had a difficult time understanding this mentality of this. Oh, they're riding for another team next year. Fuck them. You know, we're not gonna take you to any more parties. You know, we're taking our toys and going home. You've got a guy who is a Grand Tour contender on a team.
Yeah.
Under contract. Use it. But talk to me what you think about Ineos and what you think might be some of the mentalities, swirling around in the team bus.
I think I keep mentioning their roster, but I keep really looking down at it. I think that I do agree with you. First of all, I think that it's really an odd idea to just say screw you to a rider who's really got a good chance of possibly winning this Grand Tour. But I also think that they're really looking at the prospects they have in the future. You know, they let him go. They let Andre Amador go. I think they're starting to really look towards that youthful side to build for the years to come. And I think that's what Ethan Hayter is. He's a young rider who might not be at that peak yet, but I think if they give him a lot of good support, then I think they'll really benefit in the years to come. And I think that's what is also difficult when it comes to EF is that they buy the almost 30-year-olds or the 30-somethings.
It's a retirement party.
Well,
yeah.
Like Trek.
Yeah.
And at that age, when you have younger, explosive,
We should just call them Shady Acres or something like that. One of those rest home
Kmart
kind of
Blue
names.
Light Special.
Exactly.
but I think that there is just a mindset shift between what they used to be and what they're currently trying to be. But I think Carapaz at 33 seconds. Is that what you said?
He Remco's at 20. Yeah, 33 seconds.
Yeah, I
seventh
think
seventh place. Shit, I almost did it again.
I think
It's that bourbon.
yeah. I think in all honesty, I think he is the second best in all of this entire. I think Carapaz is the second best in all of this entire
race.
Yeah, because I don't know if I see anybody else with the experience that he has to go 3 weeks deep in such a hard race against such a hard rival. So I think they should ride for him.
I wish I understood this mentality of you're gonna sign for a different team. But I said, I think on another show, when you go to the World Championships, an entire nation is riding for a rider. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what trade team they're on. That is the race. They're focused. Belgium is riding for one particular rider. Why is the trade team situation different after a rider says he's going to leave next year? It's just such a bizarre mentality that people are like going, "Oh, fuck you."
It is.
We're not going to let you win. I mean, I mean, maybe when it comes to UCI points, probably is what it makes sense. In terms of, but Ineos wants to walk away from this race with a red jersey.
Yeah.
Well, I would disagree on the World Championships.
Really?
Because there's been all kinds of stories about guys from different teams that don't have, a country that doesn't have a lot of support, that they are kind of, you expect to do something. And one of the stories.
So there's a little trade team involvement. Yeah.
So one of the stories is Johan Museo went to,
trade teams?
No, Johan Museo went to another rider. This is when he was racing for Mape, and his teammate was
probably
Andre
Taffy.
Schmiel.
Oh, Schmiel. Okay.
And he says he asked him to do some work for him. And Andre Schmiel's answer was, as far as I checked, Moldova, where he's from, is not a province in Belgium.
Yeah. And
there's like, what? How dare you? We race on the same team. So I think that's happened in the past. But I think, I started thinking about Carapaz's situation. I don't think if they wanted to snub him, because
they wouldn't have brought him.
Yeah, exactly right. Because they're a prideful company. Ineos.
Yeah.
And they got Theo Gegenhardt, who hasn't really performed too well, but he's kind of sitting possibly in the wings.
Yeah.
But I think, they would definitely work for him for that. And I don't think Carapaz doesn't come off to me as a petty person like, oh, I can't give you a shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'll help out the EF guys. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't either.
Because EF already lost a minute in the TTT.
Yeah.
Jesus.
and Carapaz is probably going, oh, fuck.
Uh-oh,
Oh, God.
Can I? Is that erasable ink on that contract?
Yeah. How about, do you think Sam Bennett is sitting back after 2 stage wins, thinking to himself, this is enough to justify a middle finger to Patrick Lefevre? Do you think it's enough, or do you think it's just he brought something to his season, just enough?
I feel bad, but they brought him to the Vuelta for a reason.
Because there are no sprinters?
And it's not a sprinter's race. I think it's more of a climber's race. I think if Sam Bennett really wanted to say screw you to Patrick Lefevre, I think he would have. I know it's not his decision, but I think he would have gone to the tour and then shown everybody, hey, I'm not done yet. Mind you, this is not. I mean, he is racing at a world tour level, and it's not he's not racing against some slumps. But I think that, let's say, Dylan Groenewegen, all of these big name riders or sprinters, Jasper Philipsen, all these guys are there. It might be a different game, which I feel bad saying because I really do. I like the guy. I think he's a nice person.
I think Mads Pedersen is going to win the jersey. Watching him today at the front in the final stretches of that final climb, Mads Pedersen is flying.
Yeah.
And I picked him earlier.
Well, I don't think
I cursed him.
I don't think Sam Bennett. I mean, maybe he is saying like "screw you," to Lefevre.
But people say "screw you, Pat."
Yeah,
I hear it all the time.
Oh, that's really weird.
I think it's kind
from
of a
your
catchphrase.
students and
It's just like a saying nowadays.
Yeah, it is.
It's really common.
I've saw it on a bumper
hear it all
sticker
the time.
once.
Yeah,
You know?
I do too. Yeah.
But I think
My wife says it as a catchphrase.
What a coincidence.
And you're thinking, really tonight? Yeah.
Hey, there's a chance.
Sorry, Jackson.
Jackson's like,
my mind's eye.
My drink's gone.
Yeah.
I need more. Yeah.
Well, I think some of the reason Lefebvre let him go is, this sounds terrible, and I don't know the guy, but I think he's a little bit of a mental midget. A little bit. He seems fragile, like Smokey.
Yeah.
He was over the line, and Walter screams, "Mark at 0 over the line." Sorry, Smokey. Sorry.
You know how many people
We're gonna
don't
catch
know
that.
the film reference you just used?
Big Lebowski.
That was good. Big Lebowski
yeah,
reference.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
over the line. Mark at
Bullshit.
0.
Mark at 8, dude.
Yeah. Okay. No.
But I think he is. I like the guy. I like Jackson, and I hope him for the best. But Lefebvre needs an attitude, and that's why they're one. And he doesn't need somebody crying in the corner, and that's how he perceived him. I don't feel so good, or I got a bad knee.
Yeah.
I don't. He writes a tight ship, and he doesn't need a weak link in his group. So
Yeah.
he's a jerk that way, but he's successful.
I do want everybody to know I reached out to Mr. Lefebvre to be on the show.
Uh-huh.
Not tonight, obviously, but as an interview, and he responded. He responded very politely, but it was polite and blunt. Basically, I'm going to paraphrase.
Screw you, Pat.
No, yeah. No, he's basically like, no, thanks. And I'm like, all right, I understand.
All right.
Just one of the premier voices in cycling, but that's okay.
Just read my line. He used to at least write an article in the Belgian paper.
He does,
so.
yeah. So Roglic's race to lose still? Yes.
I mean, we were saying that about Pogacar, and look where we
yeah.
are. So,
Yeah.
I think it's anybody's race to lose at this point.
If he can stay upright, I mean,
That's the problem.
seriously.
Yeah.
and there's only one in the Giro when he and Nibali were like dicking around and watching each other, and that's when Carapaz won the Giro.
Yeah.
Because those guys were like, no big deal. This is my threat. And then it's like, oh God, he's got 3 minutes on us.
Yeah.
Now what? But in the Tour, to be honest with you, that one when Pogacar got his first win, I mean, he was there. Everybody thought for sure. It was just he went against somebody so spectacular that everybody would agree is Pogacar's one of a kind. So.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody have any points outside of Roglic for their Vuelta standings? I have Roglic. I have Ben O'Connor, who's not been in the top 3. Thibaut Pinot's not been in the top 3, and Tim Merlier, who's not been in the top 3.
I got 0.
You have Roglic though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have.
So we all are
our top
equal.
3.
So it
Yeah.
just washes everything
I mean,
out.
I know that has Ethan Hayter been in the top 3?
No.
I don't think so.
Alaphilippe,
Nope.
no. Or Remco.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. All right.
And I have
Then
Jake Stewart, and that's no.
we're all equal then.
Yeah.
Still okay. There we go. Next story. And I'm gonna bring it up. No Nairo. The UCI has announced that Nairo Quintana has been disqualified from the 2022 Tour de France after testing positive for tramadol on 2 occasions during the race. He finished 6th, but some samples apparently contained the presence of tramadol in its 2 main metabolites on stage 7 and 11 of the race. Since March 2019, tramadol has been banned from in-competition use, though testing positive for tramadol doesn't constitute an anti-doping rule violation. As such, Quintana is free to continue competing and won't be subjected to a racing ban. Although he was said to start the Vuelta, he chose not to prepare his defense, quote unquote. Well, no, that's not a quote. Okay. I'm kind of at the point where I'm tired of talking about doping in cycling, but I don't think it's ever going to go away. So we're going to address it. So break it down. Any thoughts on being disqualified for a drug that isn't necessarily classified as a performance enhancer, as something that is against the rules for WADA, your thoughts on maybe this is just we're speculating here with Quintana, and we want to go innocent until proven guilty, but is this potentially this the detection of this drug an indication of a larger cocktail that he might be enjoying?
Like stacking.
Yeah, stacking. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So thoughts? Well, Paul obviously has a.
Well, I think one of 2 things. Tramadol is not. It's not only the UCI uses it as a banned substance. All other sports can use it. It is not an illegal for all sports. It is not an illegal drug for suspension. As far as I heard and everything, it's a UCI thing. So UCI says, people are abusing this. It's an opiate. And so it's not really a enhancer, but if you're in pain, crash, and I think people were getting those temporary usages, TUEs, stuff.
Yeah.
I think that people were abusing that. And I think some of it, people use it, and I'm guessing, because I'm not a doctor, but I can see to help them relax to sleep, because your body is, when you're doing day after day and you're not getting rest, and just if it's just a little bit just to help you knock off, that could be part of it. But if cycling is the only one that really uses it as a banned substance, pretty much, or a naughty substance, I should say, of course it gets real known, right? And then it makes cycling's really bad. Well, I tell you what. There is no other sport. I mean, soccer does not, or football does not have the stringent testing that cycling does. I don't think there's any sport that's so tight about their drug testing. So the general public, or the general world public, has no clue. They just look at it as, well, there they go again.
Doping drugs. Done. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because they're not educated about, no, this is, way cycling is just tight. Now, boxing, since I brought it up, they test after the fight to see if it's valid. So, that's how they do it. They do a little bit before, and if there's a lot of steroids, there's a lot of prep for that. They'll do whatever. Football, NFL, theirs is getting a little bit tighter. Major League, at least at one point, there was, once you pop positive, they would go to the athlete and say, hey, you got caught, knock it off. Second time, they tell the team. The third time, then it goes public. So they get 3 chances to stop what they're doing.
So there's some ramifications here that we're serious ramifications here. Number one, obviously the reputation of Nairo Quintana that is out there. I'm sure there are people who are already going, burn in hell or something like that. And then second of all, the points that he earned, UCI points in the Tour de France, now they're gone. And Arkea Samsic is now staring down the barrel of relegation.
Or they were down there anyway. They weren't World Tour, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Uh-huh.
Well, or maybe moving up to the next level, and now they have very little to no chance because they've lost a 6th place in the Tour de France. Okay, so now that we're looking at this is whether it is performance enhancing or not. Where do we stand here? I mean, how do we have a drug that is banned in one situation but isn't banned in so many other situations? So the biggest race in the world says no, you're gone, but every other race in the world is saying yeah, you're okay. What the fuck?
I think that if they were willing to give him that substance during the race, I think the team probably should have known during that time, don't do this or else we'll be kicked out. But I also think that if he tested positive for it once, I mean, if it's kind of more like Paul said, like a naughty substance rather than a banned one, I think they should say, hey, just to let you know, I know it's pretty much primarily a painkiller. Just don't do it anymore. Just tell him. Don't wait until after to get all this done and everything. Just like tell him in the moment, hey, don't do this anymore because this isn't necessarily banned, but it's not necessarily great where we are right now. It's as simple as that, because at that point, if you don't tell him, he's going to keep taking it, which he did. And I think that it's just a communication error that they didn't really want to tell him.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you tell him, we aren't having this conversation, and he's still getting those points for his team.
I'm sure there's somebody somewhere who's screaming at their device right now saying it is a signal of a larger issue. He's stacking. He's using the tramadol, which is detectable, to hide other drugs or something like that, or as part of a performance cocktail.
Didn't really help. We didn't win.
Yeah.
So
it helped maybe in the fact that he would have been 15th place and he was 6th. But
that could be a possibility. Certainly, you can't nix that out. That he's stacking. That's you can't say, oh no, I think he's just using it like I suggested, just to get over the hump so he can close his eyes. I mean, there's a lot of potential here, and one thing that this current society is about is jumping to conclusions, and
we're pretty good at that.
Yeah. And I think more investigation, more reasons. If the UCI is going to push this, they need to push it and be consistent. And consistency is the most important thing. Instead of going like, okay, we're just going to take away your Tour de France. Yeah. What is it? It's just a naughty one, so we're taking away your Tour de France wins because that's where you pop positive. As opposed to, listen, you're done for the rest of the year. Yeah. Let's build a defense. You present yourself with why this is, and then we will make that judgment. Yeah. And then we can reinstate you.
And then we
on the tour. Yeah.
We remove the tour points after the case is closed. It's guilty before proven innocent.
Yeah. So, all right. But we like to just fling mud. Yeah. That's what Twitter's all about.
Exactly. Understatement of the year. Gentlemen, letter grade on how clean our sport is. I love the pause.
Yeah. Well, I know this is lame and I know this sucks. I don't. It's a question that I almost don't know if I can answer, because I don't know if I have enough information to be able to provide a letter grade. I mean.
We're all speculation.
Yeah, and that's what's tough about it is it's like I would love to say it's 100% clean, but I also don't have enough information to say that. So it's just I don't know if I can, and I know I'm sorry
That's
that
fair.
that's
no,
a lame
that's
answer.
fair. You choose not to answer. I would have said a B minus, C plus.
I would say B. I think because of the testing that's pretty.
Yeah.
We have a biological test passport also that no other sport has.
And that he was caught.
Exactly. There's another
Means
factor.
testing's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Because people are like, well, what happened to it all?
Yeah.
But I also go to those people who, the David Millers, the Jonathan Votter, all those guys who came through and, purged their sins and said, listen, this generation's a little bit different. They're racing. Everybody's focusing on speed, but I think it was Jonathan Vatter's in 9 Lives in his book. He's like, the conversation at the table when I was racing was all about, mumbling about what drug or did you do this or blood dope and blah, 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 blah. Now it's like, hey, did you get that, whatever, did you see my posting on Instagram or did you, I mean, it's like fun stuff. And it's like, that was refreshing. And it's like their minds are different. Mind you, he wrote that 3-4 years ago, but hopefully that's what I have to cleave to. And I would like to
we have to go through we have to think this way,
Yeah.
or we're not cycling fans anymore. We
Yeah.
become bitter, we become angry, and we go from there. So my next story, which is going to lead into our topic, and don't worry, Paul, I promise it won't be this miserable. But we did miss talking about the big dirt weekend here in the United States, Leadville and Steamboat. Keegan Swenson successfully defended his title at Leadville. And he also at Steamboat, which is an amazing weekend of events. Winning time for Leadville, he beat it by 11 minutes in 6 hours and 1 second. And being as somebody who has competed that event, it's fucking fast. Mine was double that. Well, I made it under the 12-hour mark, but that's fucking fast.
So
Hannah,
no belt buckle for you then.
I do have a belt buckle.
I thought it was after 10,
right there.
10 hours.
No, it's 12 hours.
12 hours.
It's back there.
Oh,
It's
sweet.
back there up there against the wall. I should have put it in the bar, but I never put it in the bar.
No. Oh,
What?
I'm sorry.
What?
This is
No?
rim break bar.
But Hannah Otto for the women. And I just wanted to say about that, but I do want to comment on the fact that there was zero TV coverage. My ongoing beef with Flow Bikes, but I shouldn't bash Flow Bikes because they're trying to do something. They're trying to create. They're trying to bring content to us. Yes, they have some flaws in their programming, but you know what? So do I. There are times when our theme doesn't play or something like that. And that's tiny, and a quarter of the audience. But the fact that it was not televised in any way, shape, or form is a shame. Would you? I know Paul's answer, but would you have watched it if it was there at all, even highlights?
I mean, I've watched videos on it already.
You have,
yeah.
Okay. Where?
Just on various riders' YouTube pages,
Sure.
stuff like that. I mean, Instagram, you can find a lot of stuff on it. But I think that there might be a reason why it's not televised yet. And I think it's that indie-ness. I know that's not a word, but of what gravel is. And I don't know if it is necessarily wanted to be on TV yet. Like gravel and mountain bike and that whole entire thing. I don't know if that's the point yet.
What's not being wanted to be? Is it the people?
I don't know if it's like the
promoters.
culture?
Is it the
I think it's the culture. I don't
Really?
think. I mean, oh my God, you're telling me that Lifetime could get a TV deal with NBC right now? Oh my, they are taking the millions of dollars that they would give them.
Yeah.
But I
and
think
the technology and the ability to broadcast a clear signal.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
we
I
have
also
fucking satellites. We got a signal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I think once you begin to televise it on those mainstream type of platforms, then I think a lot of people you're going to get talking about the spirit of what it is again.
Sure.
And do we want all this publicity? So I wonder if it's almost intentional with the lack of televised coverage.
It's funny you should bring that up because there have been some grumblings about the culture of gravel over these last couple weeks with Gravel Worlds, which happened last weekend. Unofficial Gravel Worlds. It's not the actual UCI World Championships. But and Leadville and Steamboat. Pete Stetna, if you follow Pete Stetna on social media, of the legendary Stetna family and of Trek Segafredo and career before that, Pete ran into some situations in these last races which he was very vocal about, and in my opinion, in a good way. Number one, about feeding situations where there's this unwritten rule in certain races that some people take hydration packs, some people take bottles, and if they have bottles, they stop at a feeding station and they replenish. And the people with hydration packs don't wait, but they don't attack, if you know what I'm saying. So that was the first one, and then the second one in Gravel Worlds this last weekend, there was a tandem in the field of riders. Obviously, this was not just some tiny, Pat Bulger and his wife on a tandem. These were world-class cyclists on a tandem, and the Gravel Worlds race, the majority of the climbs were like 50 to 100 feet in elevation, but they were constant. But on a tandem, if you've ever ridden a tandem, fucking you can crush that stuff. And these guys flew, and they changed the dynamic of the race. What I'm saying is we're talking about gravel and the indiness of the culture, but are we reaching a point where some guidelines, commandments need to come into the picture that might change it and maybe ruin it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tough because, I think in the tandem case, I think that there's a different category because that's a different bike altogether. And I think that, like we talk about e-bikes, they should have their own categories. I think that there should be a little regulation there. But with the feed zones, that in any race, in a fondo and anything like that, there's not really a rule around that. It's just kind of how racers choose to race. And if you want to take a bottle or if you want to take a hydration pack, that's on you. And if you want to complain about that, that's just kind of how it goes. You can't tell somebody, no, you have to stop right now, because in reality, they don't. Mm-hmm. They can just keep going and roll on, and sure, it's going to suck, but that's kind of the strategy of the game. If they're the ones on the top of the podium at the end of the day, they played it right and you didn't.
Yeah,
that's what's tough about bike racing. It's not, a friendly pat on the back anymore. It's, I'm going to win the prize money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of that growth period, what they're going through. I do believe that they have tandem areas. Tandem categories, so you can do that race. But the problem is, like in a UCI race, when we are on a circuit, you cannot draft off of if we overtake another, or you fall back off of, let's say I'm on Cat 1, 2, and the threes are behind me, and I fall back. I can't use those threes to get me back up, or they can't use me to advance their.
Yeah.
So that's where that falls through the cracks a little bit. So I'm sure, but when you don't have rules, then everything, like you're saying, applies.
Yeah.
There's no rule that I have to wait. It's just unwritten rule.
Yeah.
To me, I think the organizers, as individual, just to say, listen, there's no waiting. If you don't like it, you don't have to race here. The problem is promoters want money and they want participants.
Yeah.
And so they seem to be pulling back a little bit and let everybody bicker a little bit. That's how it appears to me for somebody who doesn't. And it's like, in order to stop this problem, listen, I'm doing a gravel race. You can wear backpack stuff. You can water bottle. There's no need to wait. There's no need to do any of that. You can use aero bars. You can do anything. Women can run. If you're going to run those rules, women can have like in running, they have pacers, guys that actually go out and let all that happen.
And we ran into that with
Laura DeCrescenzo last year.
Yeah. So if there's no rules, there's no reason not to. And for those that complain and don't like it, then don't come to this event. I know that sounds harsh, but that's the only way to solve this problem. Unless you lay down these rules, then we lose that independent. The whole thing is just like, hey, we're out here to have fun. Apparently not. That's not what's happening. They're not having fun.
The growing pains are immense.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if we're going to go down the same path that mountain biking
Without a
turned
doubt.
into, and then we end up with cross country mountain bike racing being a fucking 45-minute race.
Yeah, with people hauling in rocks and creating a course.
Which is cool, but it's not cross country mountain bike race.
On the TV thing, I want to touch on that. If TV doesn't come into play, these big sponsors are going to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if individual, these, guys that are doing their YouTube, they're not going to get the coverage that you would have on TV. So something's got to give at that point.
Well, that's a perfect segue.
Thank you.
It brings me to our topic for tonight. That I want to talk about the popularity of cycling in each of its disciplines. In terms of the multiple disciplines for the sport. So talk to me about your, I don't need to talk about our individual passions for the sport, but in terms of following the race element, we've been talking this year about our waning interest in some elements, higher or lower. We can all agree that we are probably road is our preferred method of following the sport, following the racing elements of the sport. Talk to me about your interest levels in mountain biking, in cyclocross, in gravel, and in track. Where do you stand in terms of watching any of these types of racing?
I like to watch mountain biking here and there when it's on, like for the big races. Like I'll try and watch the mountain bike World Championships. But yeah, mostly, I like cyclocross here and there, but I mainly kind of stick to the road element of it, which is kind of funny, longest and most statistically boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's because I have gone through it so much that I kind of understand it a little bit more. But I think I go there mostly. I don't think I've ever watched a track race before. But yeah, that's what I'm mostly kind of honed in on.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious I watch a lot of road. That's not, I think the next is cyclocross. I get a kick out of it. I didn't enjoy racing it. I mean, I did several races for a couple of years. It's just not my gig, you know. And I think a lot of it because I have put so much energy in road cycling. I'm ready to turn it down, a notch and not get so serious. And cyclocross it has a little bit more relaxed feeling. Yeah. But that's not why I race. I don't race and that's just me. For those who do it, I think it's great. Just to have fun, shits and giggles and stuff. Mountain biking, I have to say I'd never raced mountain bikes. I never had really interest. I've mountain biked several times for years and never really got into it. It's not my gig. And track, that was probably, I like it, but to be honest with you, you mentioned in the feed zone that why isn't it popular? I mean, it's a stadium. It's like
the perfect storm of entertainment.
Yeah, but I think it's not very explainable. Like match sprint has kind of gone away where people are just standing there on bikes and trying to get somebody. That blows people away. You mentioned the Madison is like
Madison's
that's confusing as
shit,
hell. I mean, unless you're an enthusiast, you're like, what's going on here?
Who's where?
Yeah. Why
is
is that guy going by and there's another guy slowing down and all of a sudden he's faster than the other guy?
Riders just flying
all over. It's hard to keep track.
Points race, you got to do math.
Yeah. And who likes that?
Don't even talk to me about that. Yeah.
So, but
missing out. At least you understand there's a field involved.
Well, and even look at the pursuit and the team pursuit.
Yeah.
It's like you have a split screen, and they take off at opposite ends, and you're seeing, oh, he's got a wheel on this guy. That's not really all that thrilling. I mean, it's fun. I'm sure it's fun to race, and I always wanted to race the track, but for viewing, unless you have somebody racing or you race yourself,
You're not going to understand.
No.
It's not a very which surprises me because we have a history in this country. Madison Square Garden was a velodrome.
That's what it was built for.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously the history of our cultural in the sport. With why am I forgetting his name?
Taylor, Major Taylor.
Major Taylor. We have a history, but we don't see it. We don't see that participation anymore, and it's so weird because we do have tracks in this country, and we do have talk about televised ready. It's fucking dialed. It's all it's in a stadium. It's a sport. So, me personally, I've excuse me. It's across the board. I mean, I've done a good deal of everything. My cyclocross experience is not exactly what it should be, but I've raced on the track. I've raced on the gravel. I've raced on mountain. I love all of the different styles for what they are. But when I tend to watch something on TV or online, it's going to lean towards road.
And why do you think that is for you?
It seems to be more understandable in terms of I like watching the athletes versus the course, which is what mountain bike sometimes tends to be. Cyclocross, I do like cyclocross, but at that time of year. I mean, I wouldn't watch cyclocross all year round.
Yeah.
And sometimes, to be honest, my personal opinion is that cyclocross is mountain bike racing is the current version of mountain bike cross country is just basically a cyclocross race with a lot more rocks thrown in
And suspension bikes.
Yeah. And then that bothers me because I grew up in the purity, what I consider the purity of mountain bike racing, where it was 40, 50 mile cross country races, huge loops. My wife and I went to the world championships in Canada. We drove up there. We stayed. It was nearby. We were there. We watched. The Tomac years, the Giuliano Furtado years. It was fucking poetry back then. And I know I'm sounding like an old man, but Paul, you're the guy who watches entire stages of road stages. What keeps you engaged
On road?
Yeah.
I think just the same. Like I'm making this a boxing theme. I love the strategy thing. I like it is a big chess match, and this year in the tour, we're lucky enough to see the start. And at kilometer 0, you can start figuring out who's doing what is the plan. And to me, the best stage of this tour explains what Jumbo Visma was going to do the whole time. From kilometer 0, it was just chaos, but it was orderly chaos, and I love it. And other teams were confused because this is not how it's supposed to be done, and I think it's a good period here for road cycling for people to start watching because it's not a 2-hour snooze fest.
Yeah,
where the El Patron is saying
Yeah.
Nobody gets to attack. Yeah. Let the break out. Let's chase it down. That became so formulaic that even I I don't care if I watch the first 2 hours, but now I could sit for a 4-hour race. I'm doing other things and hear the pitching of voices.
Yeah, the
yeah,
commentators.
Yeah, you can hear
work.
like something's happening.
Yeah.
So, but the other sports like cyclocross. To be honest with you, on TV, it's something to do, and it has some
that
names
time
right
of year
now.
We're desperate for it.
Yeah, and we have like Pidcock, and we have
Vanderpool.
Vanderpool. But unfortunately, the hardcore just guys that do cross, once those guys are in there, you don't even see them. The camera's following the leaders majority of the time, and every once in a while flash back to people fighting for 5th and 6th place.
Sure.
And unfortunately for them, the early part of cyclocross is great because Van Aert and Matthew and Pidcock are too busy doing something else. Yeah. That's where it's really like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And they come in and it just blows it apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Jackson, would a 30-minute to 1 hour coverage of a road race make it better or worse
Um,
for you and for the watching public?
I think for me, I like the whole thing.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because I fast forward because, transition stages. I don't need to watch Peter Sagan take another gel, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then also with things like Paris-Roubaix, I didn't fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the whole thing from start to finish,
Yeah.
and you can ask my fiance. It was very boring for her the whole time. But I think for the people really beginning to get into it, I think that could be useful. And that's what I think GCN does really well is you have an option of length, you have options, length of highlights. You have short highlights, which they post on YouTube. But if you also go through their app, they have long highlights, which I think is really good for the person really getting into it. But for the enthusiasts like us, I mean, I would like a whole stage because I like to hear the commentators' takes on things. I like to see, on maybe some of the shorter climbs if some people are attacking to see if there's other strategies, stuff like that. And that's what I also do like about it. It's like for somebody who's kind of younger, looking to race more, it's a great learning opportunity because you see a lot of these top-end athletes like really employing some really interesting, intricate strategy that you can sometimes take from, tweak to your own race, and then really learn from, which I think can be valuable. That's what I've been doing for the past couple of years, is really trying to learn from these pros.
Oh, that's an interesting way to present it. Actually, as I'm watching I guess, never mind. I did the same thing. In terms of tying it into this American audience, this is where I was going with these alternative racing ideas. We've talked a lot about how to make cycling more appealing to an American culture. And I'm going to read from a prepared press release because I'm sure you guys have heard about this. The NCL, National Cycling League, announced the launch of its first of its kind professional cycling league. With and I'm reading obviously from their text, 60 million riders in the U.S. and over 2 billion worldwide. American professional cycling is positioned to become one of the most popular sports in the world. Okay, the laugh was my part.
We joined.
And with today's historical announcement, the sport has a new home. The NCL announced a launch of a first-of-its-kind professional cycling league. Launching in 2023, the NCL will organize a series of closed-course 1 to 2 kilometer criterium races. Wow, that sounds fucking revolutionary. In the most iconic locations in major cities around the country, including Miami, Atlanta, Denver, and Chicago, with a championship team decided at the end of the season and awarded the largest prize in the history of criterium racing.
So it's legions.
I was thinking the same fucking thing. With an eye to shifting the athlete experience, the league is designed its format to ensure gender equality. Each team comprised of men and women who receive equal pay and equal resources, which is cool. Yeah. Although men and women will race separately on race day, the results will count equally towards the team's total score. Breaking with the format of traditional bike racing, these races are going to feature a new scoring system that will award points after each lap, ensuring nonstop lead changes, high-stakes drama, and that NCL races will be the most exciting bike races in the world. Designed with the fan experience at its core, sorry for the long read here, the NCL is building a sport of tomorrow by tapping into the power of technology to quantify performance, speed, and health. The technology platform will provide fans with a direct look into the performance of the athletes via wearable technology and virtual ride-alongs during training, qualifiers, and race day. Jackson's already squinting. Doubling down on its focus of innovation, NCL races will exist both in the real and virtual world at the same time, empowering fans to participate in the metaverse, riding alongside their favorite athletes during real-world NCL races. So, this is their press release. To use a little catchphrase, was that press release as clear as vodka or as muddy as a shit stew? Does it sound pie in the sky, or does it sound like, fuck, this is cool?
Okay. I always am the person who's like, let's do more for cycling. Let's create something new. It's too much.
You think so?
I think it is too much. I think that if you create a national league of criteriums, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But when you get the whole like virtual thing, and I don't really care about their stats personally, and then you can write it in the metaverse, I just think we're just going a little too far.
But you don't have to ride in the metaverse. You could hop on Zwift probably and ride the race and get dropped in a lap.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. Is what I'm trying to say. I think it's just a lot coming out of
So we're
someone.
gonna do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you just try and do a really not interactive, but fan-based criterium series? I mean, if you really think about it, criterium is already very fan-based in and of itself. Maybe try and get some TV rights.
Yeah.
From, like I said earlier, an NBC or a GCN. But I think start there, because I think when a lot of the stuff you mentioned, I was very like, there's a lot going on that I almost don't understand.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like overwhelming to a point where it's like, I don't want to bother.
Yeah.
It's too much for me.
Yeah. My head hurts.
Yeah.
Paul?
Well, that idea of having the NCL was, I can't remember what it was called, but in the 90s, they tried that. And Paul Dalka was, I think, racing for Austin. You race for
they
cities.
had cities, like an
and they had
NFL
drafting.
kind of a thing.
They drafted
Yeah.
and stuff. And one of the teams or one of the cities drafted Greg LeMond, and they asked Greg LeMond, so what do you think about being drafted? And he goes, what are you talking about? He had no clue. I never put my name in the whole. So anyway, that idea, I think a series like that is good. Like I agree with Jackson. To have that ability to hop on your trainer and do their course and try and stay with them. Maybe, I mean, there shouldn't be any scoring or anything, but for somebody just to hop on, and I really don't
think
want
you're a part of the race.
If I'm watching on TV, I don't want to see anywhere somebody in the virtual world where they're holding. I don't care. I really don't
Jimmy
care.
from Ohio shouldn't be on.
Who's 270 pounds and he puts himself at 55 pounds and he's that type.
So
of
I don't think that's the intent.
Yeah,
I don't think, but that's why that press release is so vague.
I was going to say that's what the difficulty is. None of us know.
Yeah,
Really.
Yeah, and I think they're shooting high, and that's fine when you have a big idea, you're going to filter it down, but it seems a little bit overwhelming even for somebody, a cycling enthusiast.
Yeah.
I mean, in Belgium, they have kermesses. Every little town has, like, it's a big party coming out. And look how successful, to me, Tulsa Tough is. I mean, there's people out there, and Boise Twilight. That's been going on for decades. I mean, those things are successful if they can incorporate that and help fans, create those groups of races into their program.
Yeah.
Work together. But maybe they want to stay away from the USA Cycling. I don't know.
The concept of the points per lap seems
crazy.
A little
lot.
much. It seems like, again, a little too much math.
Well, it turns into a track race, which people are going
It's
to
a
go,
missing
I don't,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I think for a fan base, unless you have a running tally,
Yeah.
score.
Constantly on your sheet.
Yeah. Well, and even people, how are people going to know that are watching the race? What just happened? You're on the backside of the course and turn 4.
Yeah.
It's like, so-and-so is how do you know? What were they going to broadcast? What are they going to, you're going to have to use your phone to keep track?
Now, if you do something like, for example, I keep thinking of high school cross country running. I don't know if it's the same in all types of running, where you have a team concept where if your finisher gets first place, they get so many points. If you get second and fourth, you get those points for those, and then your team, based upon where your riders finish with those overall points. So let's say you have 5 riders in the men's and 5 riders in the women, and they all finish in the top 5. Holy shit, you're crushing it. Kind of like, and so technically, if my team did not win, but I got second and third and fifth, I did better than the team that won the fucking race, which is an interesting way. So you have the winners of the race, but you also have the team winners of the race, just like you do in the Tour de France. You know, the top placing overall. Paul, you're about to tell me.
Well, yeah, because I think
shit.
we got to start. We have to start simple, because if you have to explain the rules in like 4 paragraphs, like you just did, that's just a little bit too much for somebody who wants. What's this all about?
But
And somebody starts explaining, it's like, pff, and that's what happens in the Tour.
Yeah.
What's the most exciting? I think all of us agree is one-day classic races.
Yeah.
The winner is winner. It's simple.
Yeah.
America doesn't like ties. That's why they have a problem with football or soccer.
Yeah.
Because they're like, this doesn't make sense. And no playoff. You just play your season like Bundesliga and the one with the best record wins. That's simple.
Yeah.
And those seem to be thriving, you know, and not this complexity America has to have, like all this, you know, what wild card, you know, I came up from behind, you know, and this team started doing better. Well, you should have started better at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And it's also, I also think about the whole lap point system. It's like, could you imagine being a racer and you're 400 watts deep right now, halfway through a lap, and then you're like, wait, I have to be at the front of the...
I gotta do the math.
Yeah.
I don't want to do math.
Exactly. Yeah. It's...
Which would allow like DSs or somebody on the radio, so they'd all be on radio saying, listen, we're down 2 points. We need to get somebody up there, so-and-so. I mean, so you're going to have coaches.
You have to at that point, yeah.
Because, even in a crit, how many times are you thinking, are we halfway through this thing?
Yeah.
I mean, you're hypoxic.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing 30 miles an hour.
That's why the lap boards are gigantic and all that stuff when you come across the
when
line.
you're cross-eyed.
You're just going,
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's be brutally honest. Talk to me about your initial thoughts on the staying power. I know we want to support the sport, but we can be honest here because we're our independent podcast. I think it sounds cool. I hear it's got some big investors, but I think it's going to fail. Anybody else?
I think Paul said it best. I think it's going to start with this huge idea that will eventually be cut back to a little bit simpler ideas.
Yay! We're all going to do great! And then all of a sudden turns into shit.
Yeah. I think that, you know, to get people interested, I think we have to have the crit series are great. If we had a Tulsa Tough type of weekend here in Spokane, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
It does get people. I've even today or this year, people who I know at my local saying, are they ever going to do that downtown crit? They happen to be at O'Doherty's, which people in Spokane don't know. It's an Irish bar
Good Irish
that we
pub
went
downtown.
and they just stumbled into it and they're like, that's cool. I could watch that forever. They didn't know exactly what's going on, but they all that speed and then you were announcing and you were giving great feedback and they're like, oh, you know, and somebody would go up. So that I think they need to focus on, you know, and that's going to get youth in a little bit and use the existing, put that money that they're going to do this league, and put it into the existing, you know, the Boise's, Twilight, Atlanta, all these ones that are existing.
We've got it. We've got the magic. Invest in the magic.
Yeah,
that we
exactly.
have.
And just get a little bit more exposed, get a little more like expand out Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
And you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think you got something and then you can grow into maybe let's try. We're doing success. Let's try people. Hey, guess what? This year we're allowing you to try and stay with the pack.
Yeah.
You know, and do teams or do trade teams that are whatever. Anyway, that's my opinion.
We already have trade teams. I mean, Legion is a trade team,
Yeah.
you know, and people root for or against individual teams or individual riders. And I think we have, I mean, the crit beef and all the, you know, the stuff that the Williams brothers have created, the drama that they've created, whether you like it or not, Americans love that shit.
They are real pioneers of that the U.S. crits.
Oh my God, they're doing amazing things. They're an amazing team, and they what they do fucking works. I mean, they win a shit ton of races.
I'm just gonna ask you guys: are you aware of the Chicago Crit Series that's happening right now? I think it's 10, 12 days long. That's how
No
bad
shit.
I am. Even.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's every day. It's stage, and they, Best Buddies is there.
Super
Mike's
Week?
Bikes. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
It's basically that in Chicago.
Wow.
I think it just finished this weekend.
See, I mean, this is
So
and-
NoCal, if you're interested, go to NoCal. Their YouTube is Mike from Mike's Bikes, and they've been shooting a few
really
of the films and stuff. That's the stuff they need to tap into.
Yeah.
that's a televised. That's it.
Yeah,
That
it is.
that is
Yeah.
that is what track racing could be, but it in individual cities and the crowds and the things like that. I've watched the Red Hook races, the fixie crits, freaking great to watch. I think that's what our country needs. Our country, in terms of our American mentality, our lack of attention span, and I think it a stadium style of a participatory sport. It'd be great. Now I think adding into the fact that you could hop on your trainer and try and keep up with the field in your own world, it doesn't have any basis upon the ride at all. But I think it'd be cool. Because there are some people, some gearheads, some power people who think they can keep up with these riders. It'd be a cool experience to go.
But they're not hitting the corner and bumping at 32 miles an hour and having, Corey Williams push you out or somebody else,
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. They get a taste of what it takes for an hour to like 90 minutes. In Chicago, they have
Balls
90-minute
Yeah, exactly.
crits, and it is fast.
Yeah.
So, but if they're going to do that to get people interested, cool.
Yeah.
I think it's great, but I don't care about the results.
This format sounds like a good idea, but not necessarily
Like a
well
pie in
thought
the
out
sky.
idea. Yeah, exactly. Okay, there we go. I'm going to end us with a question,
All right.
gentlemen. If you had $500 to spend on anything cycling related right now, you had $500 and you can only you can't save it. Don't give me that shit. You can't save it. You got to spend $500 today on something cycling related. Now, I know we did this back in Christmas. We were talking about Christmas gifts and stuff like that. But this is different. Time, things evolve. Like, for example, I just recently found this concept of velo kicks. I've been following velo kicks online. I follow their Instagram account. It started out as this kind of custom shoe painting thing, which they looked really cool. Velo Kicks is now selling actually what look like brilliant fucking shoes for like $200 and some bucks. I mean, considering a normal set of road shoes is like $500 bucks, the high end stuff, and these look brilliant. So I don't know about them. By the way, if anybody knows about Velo Kicks and could tell me about them, it looks fucking brilliant. But if I had $500, what would I spend it upon? Jackson, if you had $500 right now and you had to spend it on cycling, what would it be?
I would, because of my current needs, I would probably buy some brand new Shimano.
You're into
shoes.
Shimano shoes right now.
Yeah, I mean, Jonas Vingegaard and Wout van Aert would probably agree. But they seem like they would fit my foot really well. And yeah, I like the look of them, and I'd probably do that right now. And that would probably fill most of the docket right
That'd be
there.
it. That'd
Pretty
be 500 bones.
Yep.
Yeah. By the way, Tadej Pogačar, did you guys know that his DMTs are a lace-up shoe?
Mm-hmm.
A lace-up.
They're knit too.
Yeah. That's what these
Comfortable.
Velo Kicks are. They're gorgeous. It's a knit shoe. It's really
Yeah.
pretty with boa.
Giro's
Two boas.
Giro's been doing lace-up knit.
I don't have lace-up knit Giro shoes, but I have some lace-up road and mountain shoes, and they're great. I gotta admit, in a road shoe though, I like to be able to reach down and go, and tighten it up a little bit. That's my only problem with laces. Paul, if you had $500, what would you buy?
Well, it hinges on whether you buy my TT bike, and then I would take that money plus the 500. And there's in the Pro Closet, there's this BMC. It's a Team Machine 02.
Oh,
I rode an 01, and it's 2012. That's when I got my first BMC road bike and the Team Machine, and it fit, and it was like a great ride for me. So it's a model down, but they have it on sale. So that would cover the cost.
Are we talking bike or just
It's a frame. Just
So
a frame.
am I buying just a
A
frame?
frame. See,
See, I got to find componentry now.
yeah.
Yeah, you're fucking killing
Well, and it, yeah.
me. Anyway, if I had $500, I would probably right now invest in a set of rim brake wheels. And I've been pros closeting it, and I'm scared of pros closet. I'm really scared of pros closet. I don't know why. Just because it's, I mean, I see the scratches and stuff like that, and I'm like going, oh.
Yeah, well, I see
Well,
mine every
do you feel
day.
better with the?
It always comes back.
Oh man!
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go have another shot of bourbon and drink to forget. No, oh, I canceled the fucking show because of that scratch on the I was so destroyed.
Yeah. And your son's still playing it.
He is,
Yes.
and
I
well,
always will.
as well you should.
pretty
As
funny.
well you should. Yeah, I'm gonna piss on your wedding cake now.
Is that champagne?
Oh God!
Oh, it's Sterling. I like the taste.
Yeah.
That's a cannon. No, that's a
dodgeball
dodgeball
quote.
reference. Yeah, I
Yeah.
almost said cannonball, which is really makes me old. But I would probably buy a set of rim brake, carbon rim, and I would do tubulars.
Yeah.
I almost said sew-ups. I would do sew-ups because I just think it'd be a great set of wheels.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I blow my $500 on.
Here's the thing about Pro Closet: they do warranty, they're used,
Yeah.
obviously that type of thing. Do you know where they started? I don't want to plug them too much.
No,
but-
you can plug it. Yeah,
So
we don't
what
know
it was
them,
is
but
this,
yeah.
this guy who all these pro teams had a bunch of leftover gear, so he would sell it online,
Okay.
and it just started blossoming and going
Yeah.
on and on and on. So he created this, and they have now mechanics and people doing research. So when they get used stuff, buy used stuff, they
Yeah.
look at it and say, "Oh, this is superficial scratches," that type of thing,
Yeah.
and they try to be upfront. So
Hey, Pros Closet. If
Yeah.
you want
Sponsorship deal.
Yeah. If you want us to talk about something every week, we'll do that. So there we go. Let us know on social media what you would buy with $500. It'd be an interesting discussion. So everybody, check out packfiller.com. Look to our Patreon program. By the way, I have to plug this. We're kicking it off officially this fall, but we're going to be supporting Movember Foundation to fight cancer and to fight suicide. That's a big realm of things in which to fight. So there we go. Paul, how do you think predict your placing this weekend? Positive thoughts.
positive thoughts. Not in last place.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
There you go.
So top 6.
Yep.
All right. And everybody, by the way, go support a race. Go to a race. Don't wait for the last minute to sign up, because that makes promoters freak out and they cancel races. And I have been watching the participation numbers in this race, and it makes me sad.
Well, kudos to Ace, because he said they're not going to make money if they didn't have 50.
Yeah.
They didn't have 50 by the deadline. He said, "I'm doing it anyway." So Ace at Wenatchee Valley Velo.
Valley Velo. Yeah.
Thanks.
There we go. Well, go fast, man.
I'll try. That's what I
Rubber
wanna
side
do.
down. Rubber side down. Don't let your brain affect anything else. Shut your brain off and just pedal hard.
There you go.
That's what I said. That's what they said. That's what my father always said. It's all in the legs.
Yep.
He also said a lot of other things.
Well,
My dad wouldn't be
Screw
listening.
you, Pat.
Yeah, my dad wouldn't be listening this far into the show, so
Yeah.
I can say, oh, whatever. You talk too much in this show.
yeah.
Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next week. I just revealed